Welcome to the Explainer. When you look at the zodiac, you see a whole menagerie of creatures, right? Lions, rams, fish, you name it. But there's one that completely breaks the mold. Today, we're diving into the story of Libra, the only object in the entire zodiac.
So let's just get right to it with a question. Out of all 12 zodiac constellations, which one isn't alive? Yep, you guessed it, it's Libra, the scales. So how did a set of scales get a spot among all those animals and mythical figures? Well, the story is actually a fascinating case of celestial identity theft.
You see, to really get Libra, we have to travel back in time. Because before it was ever the scales of justice, these stars belonged to its neighbor, the massive and frankly much scarier constellation Scorpius, the Scorpion.
And this change didn't happen overnight. We're talking centuries. Way back in the 3rd century BCE, a poet mentions these stars, but it took until the next century for them to even be considered their own thing. And even then, it was another 100 years before everyone finally agreed to call it Libra.
So for ages, these stars were literally just the claws of the giant scorpion in the sky. You can almost picture it, right? But eventually, these stars were, let's say, freed from the scorpion's grip to become something new. The scales of justice. And that's a huge shift. It's not just about rearranging stars, it's a reflection of us, of a move from thinking about brute strength to abstract ideas like balance and fairness.
So why is it the only thing in the zodiac zoo? Well, the best guess is that it was a late addition to the party. The cast of characters, the lions, crabs, and archers, was already set. So when these stars needed a new identity, they got one based on a powerful symbol, not just another creature from myth.
And what a symbol it was. The ancient Greeks tied these stars to their goddess of justice, Dike. She was the daughter of Zeus, and her whole job was to weigh the good and bad deeds of mortals with her scales. And Zeus, so the story goes, put her scales up in the heavens as a constant reminder for all of us down here to strive for justice.
Okay, so that's the myth, the backstory. But what are we actually looking at when we gaze up at Libra? Let's talk about the stars themselves.
Here's the cool part. The stars haven't forgotten where they came from. Their names are a dead giveaway. Zuben al-Janubi means southern claw. Zuben Shamali is northern claw. And Zuben al-Akrab? You got it, scorpion's claw. History is written right there in the starlight.
Now let's zoom in on that first star, Zuben al-Janubi. To your naked eye, it's just one point of light, but point a telescope at it and you'll see it's actually 2 stars. They're locked in this beautiful gravitational dance, orbiting each other. It's a cosmic 2-for-1 deal.
But Libra's got more tricks up its sleeve. Another one of its stars, Delta Librae, is what we call an eclipsing variable. It's also 2 stars, but their orbit is lined up perfectly from our point of view here on Earth. So every 2.3 days, one star blocks the other, and the light we see dips, just like someone's flicking a celestial dimmer switch.
So if you put it all together, these main stars create this simple, elegant shape. Alpha and Beta Librae make up the beam, the part that pivots. And then Gamma and Sigma hang off the sides, acting as the 2 pans where justice is weighed. It might just look like a rectangle in the sky, but now you know how much history it's holding.
Now that simple rectangle is just what we can see with our own eyes. But when we aim our most powerful telescopes at Libra, the ancient stories fade away and we find ourselves on the front lines of a modern quest, the search for another Earth.
4. What's so special about the number 4? Well, that's how many planets we found orbiting a single tiny red dwarf star on the Libra constellation. That star's name is Gliese 581, and it's home to one of the most exciting planetary systems we've ever discovered.
So what makes this system so special? It comes down to this idea of the habitable zone, which you might have heard called the Goldilocks zone. It's that sweet spot around a star, not too hot, not too cold, where a planet's surface could have liquid water. And as we know, liquid water is a key ingredient for life.
And that brings us to the star of the show, a planet called Gliese 581d. It's a super-Earth, bigger than our planet, but probably rocky. And it orbits right in the middle of its star's habitable zone. This makes it one of the absolute best candidates we have in the search for life beyond Earth.
This possibility, this tiny chance that a world in Libra might actually have life, has inspired us to do something pretty incredible. We started sending it messages.
No, this isn't science fiction. We have actually sent 4 different systematic messages from Earth out into the cosmos, aimed in the direction of Libra. We're talking powerful radio and laser signals shot into the darkness just on the off chance someone or something is listening.
And get this,
While the first couple of messages were kind of general, the two most recent ones, from 2008 and 2009, were aimed directly at the Gliese 5A1 system. We are specifically trying to say hello to any potential neighbors on planets like Gliese 581d. This means we've moved past just looking. We are actively shouting into the cosmos.
Wow, okay. We have gone from ancient myths all the way to the frontiers of searching for alien life. So, before we wrap up, let's see what you've picked up about the zodiac's most unusual member.
First question for you. Why do the stars that make up the scales of justice have names that sound like they belong to a scorpion? What's the story there?
All right, next up, we talked about a star in Libra that puts on a little light show for us, dimming and brightening like clockwork. What's the astronomical term for that, and what's actually going on up there?
And finally, let's move beyond the facts into something a little deeper. We've sent 4 messages out to Libra, 4 shouts into the void. If you had the chance to write the 5th one, what would it say? What single message could possibly represent all of humanity? Now that's something to think about the next time you look up at the night sky.